Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, September 11th, 2021. And even though I'm heading out for a fun day, it's hard to say that date without first taking a little bit of time to recall the tragic events that happened 20 years ago on this day. And I try to keep this channel upbeat and fun and positive and show you guys some fun stuff, but I'm not real good at finding the words for sadness and tragedy, but I thought I would at least share a little bit about, what my day was like, because it's certainly one of those moments in time that people always ask, so where were you when it happened? So I was at work, and the company I worked for at the time had been growing rapidly, so I was in a temporary satellite office, which we had set up to be the training center. I was training new hires at the time, and we were in the industrial park next to Lehigh Valley International Airport, pretty near the FedEx terminal, which is kind of ironic because I've got a FedEx truck ahead of me on the road here. And it was a beautiful day like today. Perfect fall day, sunny skies, calm air, temperatures in the low 70s. Just perfect day in this part of the country to start. And I had to go back to our main office, which was just a couple miles away in Bethlehem. Actually, I think we were interviewing some new employees. And I had a new car at the time. I had gotten a Mitsubishi Lancer, the Rally Art, I think it was called the Rally Art Edition. I hate to say I had one of those all-show, no-go cars, but I was really enjoying it. And for the first, week and a half I had it, it had a CD player, which was a nice upgrade for me from my prior vehicle, and I was really enjoying listening to some music in the car. And for some reason, I don't know why, on that drive, I just thought, this would be a good time to catch up with the news, see what's going on in the world. You got to remember, we didn't have internet at this office. I mean, we actually had dial-up, but it didn't work most of the time. So we really didn't use it other than rare occasions. So we didn't have internet. We didn't have smartphones. We certainly didn't have a television at work. So I turned the radio on in the car as I'm driving over to our main office, and that's when I heard the news about a plane hitting the World Trade Center. And news was a little scarce at the time, and I was thinking, wow, that's tragic that accidents happen. And I was kind of thinking a small plane, something like that had happened to the Empire State Building once, and it did some damage, and it got fixed, and life went on. And I wasn't too alarmed by it, except that when I was almost to the office, news broke about the second plane hitting the other tower. And that's when my blood ran cold. I knew something. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew something out of the ordinary was happening. And so, I went in and we interviewed this guy, and took him over to our fabrication shop, gave him the tour, trying to be present in the moment, but my mind thinking, what's going on. And I remember coming out of my boss's office after we had interviewed the guy together, and our lead engineer just came walking up to us, tears in his eyes, and I'm trying not to get choked up, to let us know that one of the buildings had collapsed. And you kind of know the rest from there. And I gave this guy the tour of our facility. We ended up hiring the guy too. He ended up being a pretty good worker. But it was hard for me to focus on, trying to go about normal work. And so after I gave him the tour and we parted ways, I went back to my satellite office, and we didn't have any trainees in that day, so it was just me and the guy from our sister company who sat in the office next to me. It was just the two of us. I didn't get any work done the rest of the day. I highly doubt anybody did. But what really drove the point home, like I said, we had no internet, no TV, no radio, unless I went out to the car, but I wasn't going to do that while I was, quote, working. So we really didn't know what was happening. But what made it real and really difficult for me was how quiet it was. You got to remember, my office is next to an active runway. I'm used to hearing big jets, smaller planes, even helicopters flying in and out all day. That never bothered me. I mean, if you guys seen some of my earlier videos, I like to film the planes just as much as I do the trains. I always enjoyed watching them. The sound of them never really bothered me, but it was the absence of sound. The just sheer silence was maddening that day, because you don't have information. You don't know exactly what's going on, other than it's pretty freaking bad. And somehow I got through my 8 hours that day. And of course, when I went home, I had television back then. I turned on the TV, was devastated actually seeing the images and seeing what had happened. And by then both towers had collapsed, along with I forget the number of the other one, World Trade Center 7, I think. Don't quote me on that. So 3 buildings total had collapsed, thousands of lives lost, people injured, and just, like I said, it's hard for me to find the words for it. I mean, thankfully nobody I know was there. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was killed. Ironically, I know 2 people who were supposed to have been there that day, and they both had reasons. One was out on vacation, and then just one got sick that morning and called out. Thank goodness. But yeah, I think what it really changed for me, it didn't change my everyday life per se, but I think it, hold on, I got a merge here that's going to make this day pretty bad if I don't, just hoping to get past that slowpoke before the merge. Alright, the lasting impact to me was just, kind of the loss of innocence. I mean, I was fortunate to grow up in this country at a time of relative peace. I was born after the Vietnam War. And, I guess the naive part of me thought maybe humanity had gotten better than that. Well, the history of the last 20 years. I don't need to repeat that, but, I did just want to share that. Share it with you, but also kind of preserve it for me, I guess. But I don't want to keep this video on a down note, because I am going out for a day of fun. And, if you're a regular to this channel, you recognize these roads. You can probably guess I'm going to Jim Thorpe. And yeah, you're right. Where else would I be going? I am going up there. I'm going to meet Nick from Nick's Crossing. We are going to ride behind the steam locomotive today, number 425. They have had that one out for the last week. Tomorrow's the last day for it. And so we're going up not only to ride the train, but then we're going to go biking on the trail that parallels the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway afterwards. This is all familiar territory for me. For Nick, it will be his first time biking up here, and his first time riding behind the steam engine. You'll recall he was with us when we rode the caboose back in July. That was actually his first time on the railroad and in Jim Thorpe. And 425 was parked at the station that day, but not running. So he's pretty eager to see it run, and I'm pretty excited for him to see it run, and it'll be my second time this year riding behind it. And the only reason you haven't seen the first time yet is I just haven't gotten around to editing it. I know my train ride videos end up being some of my longer ones for you to watch. Well, they're certainly pretty long for me to edit. For example, the Northern Central Railway, which I rode with Nick a couple weeks ago, that took me about 8 hours to edit that. I had well over 2 hours of footage that I somehow managed to condense to about 40 minutes. And, you know, it's about the same with the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway. So I still need to edit that steam engine ride. And probably what I'm going to do, I don't know how much I'm going to film today on the train because, you know, I filmed that ride so many times. It's almost getting to be like, what more can I show you? I'll probably get a little footage, but I'm more interested in actually getting some footage of watching it go by on the trail. And probably what I'll end up doing is actually just combining the footage from the 2 days into one video. I know I've hit you guys up with a lot of train videos this summer. I know a lot of you have been enjoying that. You know, my intention is to keep this a variety channel. You know, clearly it has skewed heavily towards trains, and you know, even when I look back in my archives to the early days of the channel, there was still a decent amount of trains. Mostly I did driving videos back then. I guess I've kind of just flipped the ratio around. I think the train videos are more interesting anyway. So I hope you've been enjoying them. You will see a couple of things in the next few weeks that are a little bit different. And, you know, we're into my favorite time of year. So what's coming up? We're into my favorite time of year. It's early September. The weather's absolutely gorgeous. It's 59 degrees as I'm driving. The humidity's down. It feels like fall, not summer. It's still early enough in September that, you know, we could get another, you know, mini heat wave. But I think we're past the worst of the summer weather, thank goodness. And September, October, I tend to be out and about quite a lot. I'm pretty excited, not only for today, but tomorrow I am going to a model car show in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. It's called the Super September Showdown. And I was there 2 years ago in 2019 and made a video of it, which I think was just kind of a slideshow, if I recall, a slideshow set to music, I think. I truly didn't know what I was doing with YouTube back then. Not that I know what I'm doing now, but it was really clueless back then. It'll be the first model car show I've been to since you know what happened. So really 2 years, because there's another show I do every year in Wayne, New Jersey that runs in April, and that got canceled in 2020 and then canceled again this year for the obvious reasons. Super September is a smaller show, but that is happening. I will be seeing my best friend there, which is only the second time I'll be seeing him since the last show. So I'm really looking forward to that, and you know, I will make a video of it. Hopefully a little better than my 2019 one, but you know, it's also a little hard to film stuff when you got people crowded around tables of fragile little cars, but should be fun. I haven't nailed down the specifics, but I've got a ton of tentative weekend outings for September, October. Most, not all, but most of those will result in videos. Some of them are just going to visit friends and put the camera down and just enjoy each other's company, and I'm sure everybody can understand that. Sorry, I'm watching the guy on my bumper here who doesn't seem to believe there's a red light. So, okay, he stopped. It was a little nerve-wracking. And then some people have asked me, and a lot of you are probably wondering, hey Jamie, what happened to those models you were building? What happened to the medieval village? And this other side is not supposed to be turning, and yet they're all running a red light. Look at that. glad one of us is watching where we're all going. A lot of people are asking what happened to the medieval village, what's going on with your train layout. So here's the quick update. And we're getting closer to Jim Thorpe, so I guess I got to speed up my talking a little bit, get to the point. I haven't worked on any of it in a couple months, and that's for a few reasons. For one, believe it or not, it's been 5 months since I quit my job to run my business full time. Business has been busy. That's a good thing. And I won't talk about it much because, quite frankly, it would bore all of you. But business is going really well. And I finally did find a little time to build my own website. I'll link to that in the description. No obligation to visit, but, if you are a little curious about my professional life, you can, learn a little more about me there. It's not something I usually talk about on the channel, but some people have asked. So that's one reason I haven't built anything over the summer. The other is that my current makeshift workspace is upstairs in the loft. And even with the small air conditioner up there, it's just too hot in the summer. The sun just beats on it, and it's really hard to get it comfortable. So I tend not to use that room in the summer. That said, progress has been happening behind the scenes. Couple things going on. I've been doing some design work to actually turn that room into a full train model room / 3D printing room and keep the cats out. And I've had a few little stumbling blocks with the design, basically relating to not having as much space as I thought I would for the stuff. I am going to swap my home office into another room. That's downstairs. And then the current office, which is a really small room, that'll become the 3D printer room. And that's going to happen probably next week if the desk I ordered got delivered. And then probably next weekend if I'm home, I'll be setting up the 3D printers. So that's pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to getting that underway. As for the upstairs room, it's still going to happen. It's still going to become the train room. I've actually already bought the lumber for it. The lumber is sitting back in my garage, just waiting for me to go out there and start cutting pieces and painting them and assembling them. I do have to, if I want to keep the television and recliner up there, which I do, even though I don't watch that much, I do have Paramount Plus to stream Star Trek. I'd like to keep that. I am going to have to make the layout a little smaller, which sounds terrible, but when you consider I'm doing N scale and I have 2 friends who have O scale layouts in smaller spaces, I keep reminding myself to put it in perspective. I have plenty of room. I just got to adapt my plan a little bit, and now that we have the cooler weather, hopefully I'll be able to start building that. That might be next month, just because this month is pretty much booked solid. And last but not least, I have actually bought a lot of new N-scale trains. In fact, one came yesterday. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will say it's pretty special. It was definitely a bucket list acquisition for me. There's probably a few of you that can take a guess, and there's actually a few of you who already know, but I will make, I still have that loop of track in the garage to play with. I will make some videos out there to introduce my new stuff. And then when we get into the cooler weather, hopefully I'll take the videos indoors for a while, and you'll see me building my train layout, and you'll see me building this medieval village, which will actually become the Renaissance Fair for one wing of that layout. I mean, that's going to take a while, but I'd like to get back to building that. It's a little tedious laying all those little tiny bricks, but it's actually kind of meditative, therapeutic in a way when you actually start placing them. You kind of, once you kind of get into the rhythm of it, That's cool. I enjoy doing that stuff. So you know where we are. We are descending the mountain into Jim Thorpe, and I'll end the video. I'll take us out to the train station. You know, surely, I say surely, but I'll say hopefully we see 425. You know, with old steam engines, you always worry, like, oh, what if there's going to be a problem that they can't run it today? You know, I hate to be, I don't know, I worry about shit. What can I say? Looks like they don't have the train pulled into the station yet. It's only 9:30, 9:35. Normally I'm just getting out of bed around this time lately. This is an early start for me. The first train, which is the one we're going to ride, is not till 11 o'clock, so they haven't even pulled into the station yet, but that's good news because that means I can film it pulling into the station. Not that you haven't seen 50 videos of me doing that before, but hey, what's one more, right? Can't think of much else to say other than, you know, one kind of reminiscing as I was talking about 9/11. I think the last photo I have, and I'm not going to be able to show it to you here because it was done with a 35mm camera, pre-digital era. The last photo I think I ever took of the World Trade Center was from across the river in Hoboken. My father, my sister, and I had gone up there for, believe it or not, a steam engine excursion, and we were riding behind 614 that day. At the time it had been nicely restored. We were going up to Port Jervis, and the idea was they were going to do some run-bys and we could photograph them. And I remember being in the Hoboken station, and what was really cool, we got to go through the cab while, you know, it was running. Well, not running, it was parked, but, you know, the fire was going. And the engineer opened the firebox and let us have a look inside. And wow, that was just, that's something I'll never forget. That was pretty special. Unfortunately, the steam engine broke down halfway between Hoboken and Port Jervis. And so we had to sit on the tracks for what felt like a few eternities waiting for the New Jersey Transit train to come get us. And they did pull us into Port Jervis, but, yeah, it wasn't quite the same. We did go back up to Port Jervis. I guess they've changed the parking rules. I used to have to park further back. It looks like I am allowed to park here now. Alright, hold on. They do keep changing things up here. These are tight spaces, and I've got my e-bike on the rack on the bike of the truck. So I want to try to get as close as I can to this railing without hitting it, because I don't want the rack on the back sticking out too far. Yeah, we did go back up to Port Jervis, I think, a week or two later, because they got it running again, and we drove up there, but we did get to watch the run-bys. We did get to see it on the turntable. And someday I will find the photos from that day. I don't have a whole lot of them because, you know, you were kind of confined to a roll of 24 back then. But I know they came out pretty good. And I know in there I had taken a photo from Hoboken looking across to Manhattan at the World Trade Center. It's not the last time I saw the World Trade Center, but it is the last photo I believe I have of it. So with that, I am in Jim Thorpe. I don't think Nick's here yet, but he should be probably within 10-15 minutes, so I'm going to end the video, and then I can take the phone off Do Not Disturb, because he's probably trying to call me by now. So anyway, I did want to do this update, let you guys know what's going on. The post schedule will be, I think, a little erratic for a couple weeks, because I'm behind on editing, even though I actually have a lot of footage from recent weeks to edit. This video will probably go up Monday, maybe Tuesday. and then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program, which is mostly trains, but I got a few other interesting things in there for you. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.